What's up, junkies? Welcome to another upload. Today we have some exciting stuff. I got some parts in the mail over here. Don't want to show off my address. I actually got a Chase Bays power steering kit for the gray hatch. Look at that. Isn't that a beauty? Now I was going to do the ISR kit because it was a little bit cheaper, but I do like how the Chase Bays kit has the all black reservoir as well as the high pressure line and the return lines to the rack. I think it just looks a lot better, and I figured I might as well, since I'm already in a money hole with this car anyway, I might as well do it the way I want it rather than just cheaping out on a few other things and then being disappointed and maybe changing it up later on. The whole purpose of actually getting this power steering kit is because this gray car actually came factory with a single cam, and for those who don't know, all the 240s come with the power steering reservoir and all the lines on the driver's side except for the single cams. The single cams have the power steering pump on this side, which has the reservoir and all the high pressure lines on the wrong side. So when I put the SR in, the power steering pump is also going to be on the driver's side, so I actually have to switch that. And the reason I went with the more expensive route is because I'd rather just have all braided lines that are new, I know that aren't going to leak, and they're high quality parts, than to try and source a dual cam setup from somebody else that may leak, and you know, it's got a couple 100,000 miles on it, doesn't look as neat and tidy. And if I'm doing all of this, I may as well just go the extra mile and make it look better than OEM. I also have a brand new power steering rack that I was going to put in the red car, but I figured I can just use the rack from this car since the red car is not much of a looker. Put all the new stuff in the gray hatch because why not? The gray car is going to get all the nice stuff, and I just want it to be dialed. I don't want to have to deal with the power steering rack later down the road because it's a pretty common issue with the 240s that the steering racks, the seals blow, and it's just a pain in the butt. So if I'm going to deal with that, I'd rather deal with it on the red car. I did, however, just notice that I didn't order new power steering rack bushings. I don't know if I want to go solid on this car because I did do solid on the red car and it does sometimes kind of pop and shift a little bit. I don't know if that's normal or if I just installed them improperly. I've tried 3 different times to like solve that issue, so at this point I just whatever, it works great. But for this car I want it to be a nice street cruiser, so I think I'll just do the poly bushings. Another cool part about this Chase Bays kit, you can see the slots with the screws there. That way you can open up the bracket or close it in like the way it is, and you can mount it in multiple different locations. I haven't played with it yet, but from the pictures online, you can actually mount it somewhere, you know, up by the headlight. You can go in the OEM spot. I mean, there's multiple configurations you can do with this cool little bracket, so that's also what I like, and the bracket is also black, matching all the other stuff. Before we get started with all the Chase Bays lines and all that, I'm going to remove the OEM power steering reservoir as well as the lines that go all the way to the rack there. I'm doing my best to get a good angle on it. Hopefully my camera doesn't fall, but bear with me. I'm going to remove those 2 lines, which are the ones that lead straight up to the reservoir, and then the reservoir itself has 3 10mm bolts there, 1 there and 2 on the other side, and theoretically all that shit should just come right out, and then we could start playing with the mock-up of the new reservoir and things like that. Okay, we're starting off with the bigger one. This is size 17. Just take the open end of a wrench there, break that free. That way I'll have a little more room to mess with this 14mm one because I don't really have the best leverage on it with this one still in. Slip him on there. There we go. Just like that. Now we just got these little 10 mils here. And just like that, all this the single cam power steering stuff should come right out. I'm gonna leave the high pressure line in because it's got a bunch of fluid in it. This has still got quite a bit of fluid in it too. Okay, I have the reservoir just hand tightened for the bracket. I'm just going to mock it up. I'm going to use the hardware that I got from the reservoir on that side and send it in there with this. Hopefully these 2 holes line up. Fits perfectly. and it looks like it should belong there. So I'm not sure if I had already mentioned this, but I actually have to order another piece. Here's my power steering pump for the SR. I actually have to order the banjo bolt separately from the kit, which is pretty lame because J-Space is the one who sells the banjo bolt for this kit. And you can see this is where the OEM high pressure hose would bolt up to. This thing does not fit at all. So now I have to spend an extra $55 on a bolt from J-Space, which is pretty lame because you spend almost $600-700 for the kit itself. You'd figure it, and it says it's bolt up, so you'd figured you'd be able to bolt it up, but no. I mean, I don't know if I'm just being nitpicky or not, but I mean, that they should at least mention it in the description, because they acknowledged it on the description of the bolt itself. They're like, oh, you need this for the kit. Like, okay, well, that would have been nice to know when I ordered the kit. So I'm waiting for that. I got some lube for the O-rings, which they also don't provide. I mean, maybe that's just me being a little excessive, but that would be nice if it came with like a little packet of lube for these really dry O-rings for installation, because when you install them like that, you don't want them to be all dry. They run the risk of getting cracked and you'll have a leak with a brand new system, and that would be no fun. I'm just real quick gonna lube up these O-rings so I don't forget. I don't know if it's even necessary to do the inserts or the little rubber gaskets in here, but I'm just gonna apply a little bit anyway because it can't hurt, and I just really don't want to take any risks, because power steering leaks is one of the most common occurrences on 240s, it seems like, and I'm spending top dollar on this kit so I don't have to deal with that. So I might as well take every precaution that I can. That way everything goes smoothly. Car all jacked up. As I previously mentioned, I was replacing the steering rack because I have a brand new one inside. First, I got to remove the castle nut over here for the tie rod on each side, and then I'll work my way to those 4 17mm bolts there. But I think before I do that, I'll take the steering column off of the rack itself. That way it'll be nice and easy to just pull right out once I'm done taking the tie rods off. That totally sucked. I had to throw the whole toolbox at this one. This tie rod hadn't been removed in a very long time. I had to use a grinder cutoff wheel, pickle fork, and heat, and a sledgehammer, and eventually it came free. But nothing of the outer tie rod is salvageable anymore. That's okay. Off to the next one. We got the passenger side tie rod taken out as well. I guess the trick is just more heat. Every time I thought I had enough heat, I just had to apply more. Now I just got the two 12mm bolts right up there on the steering column itself. I'm going to loosen both of them so that way I could slide it up, take that off, and then I'll have the 4 17mm bolts and we'll be good to go. We got the old one out and the new one right here. Look how much prettier it looks. I got this from Enjuku. I'd noticed that some of these cooling lines might have been a little bit bent from whenever someone else took the engine out, because it was like that when I bought it. And the new one looking all good. I am gonna order some new bushings. These ones really aren't that bad, actually, so I might end up just running those until I feel like replacing them, because they're pretty simple. I mean, you just take those 4 bolts out and they wrap right around the rack. I'm gonna go ahead and install this, put the tie rods in. Off camera really quick, I went around and wiped off the subframe with brake clean and a rag. I will get to pressure washing it, but I figured I might as well clean up under the area of the power steering rack where I'm not gonna be able to reach the pressure washer. Okay, I'm just gonna rest it in there for now. With these brackets, you wanna make sure you're tightening them evenly, so that way when they squish down, it's all centered and it's all the way it should be. The new rack is fully bolted in. I do recommend attaching the steering column first. It's easier to put the column on so that way it's angled correctly before you start bolting everything down. A little bit of time has passed by since I last talked to you guys, but we have the power steering rack and the new tie rod. I actually found new outer tie rods that I hadn't used, which was perfect. Had brand new castle nuts and everything. The toe is a little off. As you can see, it's a little toed out on this side. That side actually looks good, but most importantly, what I wanted was the rack to be centered, which I believe it is. So for now, I'm just gonna skip that part. I'll adjust the toe a different time just for the sake of the video. And then now, all I have to do is get the AN fittings snugged up into the rack, as well as the reservoir itself. And then we'll just take, one of them's bigger, one of them's smaller. Nissan made it nice and easy for me, so you don't have to guess and try and figure out where each one of these go. If I can get this thing out, jeez. So yeah, what I'll do is I'll thread them in like that, tighten it down. I got the O-rings lubed up nicely, and then you snug this up to this bolt and you should be good to go. And just like that, we successfully transferred the power steering lines from the passenger side to the driver's side with our Chase base kit here. Well, that's it for this video. Thank you guys for tuning in on Drift Junkies for this week's upload. I appreciate you guys for being here. I hope you guys enjoyed. Don't forget, like, comment, subscribe. Let me know all those good things that you want to see with the build. Catch you guys in the next